dinner.
The king?
My boy, ship dinner.
Of course. I'll tell him right away. That was the king just on the line. But besides the fact that I'm a well-renowned socialite and friend of all in high society, why was he calling me? Well, you see, the king has a problem. As you and I know, the king loves his dinner. But recently, he's been having tummy troubles. Aww. And to solve this, he's been taking these probiotic sodas, which allegedly will help his gut, thanks to agave inulin, which is a prebiotic that bacteria in your gut feast on. But he doesn't know if it's been doing anything. So he's come to me to make a video for him and for you to figure out if these things are a scam or not. Because, they might be. But, as the ever-generous gentleman that I am, I'm not just making one video. I'm making two for the price of one. You're not just going to see me talk about how Poppi's kind of a scam. In fact, I'm going to try them. I'm going to try them all. I also have a root beer too, because this is root beer video. But this is the couch that I record like specials and stuff on. This isn't root beer couch. Well, thanks to those eggheads at research and development, we have a perfectly safe teleportation device. So, I think I'm going to move on over to the root beer room. In 3, 2, 1. I don't want to do that again. But what I want to do is talk to you guys about root beer and prebiotic sodas. Now, prebiotic sodas have sort of emerged at since the 2020s, more or less. And it follows the trend of, let's take unhealthy thing, but let's try to make it healthy. Because, I don't want to have stuff in moderation and, changing my diet. Yuck! I need to have soda 24/7. If we're going to be charting all of these root beers, how are we doing that? Is it going to be a lame tier list like every other YouTuber? No. I have devised a chart. And not just any chart, the StinkNet patent-pending mood food review chart, where I take my emotions while consuming a beverage and I place them on this chart, from happy to angry to disappointed to empty. And that will be how we determine if it is good or if it's bad. How can we tell if a Poppi is better than a olipop or some other soda? Well, for that, we need a control variable. You should have been paying attention in science class. So, for our control, we have a normal root beer. But which one? Well, I couldn't decide which of the big three would be ideal for a root beer review. So I put it to you. And you decided. A&W it was. If you're interested in such polls when I have to pester you all, consider subscribing. A&W, by and large, yeah, I tend to agree. This is the most generic root beer possible. Branding wise, I think, it's root beer. There's nothing really else to say about it. To give all of our little sodas a fighting chance, I've left them all in the fridge so that they are on their A game. But without further ado, first bite. I feel hopeful while drinking it. This is a very solid root beer. It tastes exactly like how I expect a root beer to taste. But A&W, by and large, yeah, this is root beer. But, zounds, I feel unhealthy now. My gut, it hurts. Blast. If only there was a type of soda that was good for your gut. Now, if you aren't aware of what a prebiotic is more or less a compound found in foods that foster the growth of and improve the activity of beneficial microorganisms such as bacteria, that live in your gut. And, of course, you can find a lot of this in, like, fiber, or fruits, vegetables, even oatmeal. But, of course, those are yucky. I want soda. So, companies such as Poppi started putting inulin, which is a type of a prebiotic and such, and they started putting that in soda. But starting in June of 2024, Poppi found itself in some hot water because, simply put, there just wasn't enough prebiotic inulin in it to really be beneficial. Before we get in deeper, let's have a taste of one of these sodas, shall we? For our first soda, I have Olipop, a classic root beer. How fun! And it's plant powered, so hopefully I can be powered by plants too after this. I will say, honestly, the design of this can is kind of mid. I think the logo looks a little mid, being honest. Olipop combines the classic soda you know and love with prebiotic plant fiber and botanicals to support your microbiome and digestive health. Finally, a refreshing soda that's actually good for you. Our old-fashioned root beer melds just the right mix of classic bite and creamy sweetness with extracts of sweet birch, smooth vanilla bean, and real burdock root. Wow. I feel afraid. I feel afraid drinking this. It's not bad, but it's not good either. Oh shit. There's a funky taste in it. That's what I'm trying to get at. There's this funky taste in it. I can't put it down anywhere. I need to try the root beer, the A&W, just to make sure that what I was tasting, that I wasn't just misinterpreting it. But there's a distinct funkiness to this soda. I don't want to say it's bitter, because it's not like 100% bitter. It's just funky. There's a funk to the soda that I don't like. And the United States District Court of San Francisco didn't like that Poppi more or less was misleading its audience. The person who filed this claim, one Miss Cobbs, claimed that she was purchasing Poppi because, well, these sodas are advertised is that they are good for you. They're good for your gut, as they say. Poppi drinks and other prebiotic sodas really only have around 2 grams of inulin in them. And those 2 grams of inulin are not really enough to be beneficial. Technically, yes, they have inulin. That's not a lie. However, the amount you'd have to drink to be beneficial, the sugar content in these would, even if it's only 3 grams of sugar, it would cancel it out at some point. It's sort of like a reverse aspartame. I think we have to have another. My gut is simply not feeling benefits yet. I need to have another. So I'll be right back. Next up, we have a Cove Prebiotic Soda, also root beer. Let's see. Trust your gut. Organic, zero sugar soda that's full of probiotics, plus it tastes amazing. It's never been easier to trust your gut. It includes probiotics instead of prebiotics, so it includes the bacteria itself in it. So, technically, a little different than what we're talking about, but they're the same thing. They're good for your gut sodas. Third bite. That's not root beer! What the fuck? What? That sure isn't root beer. I'll tell you that much. Okay, yeah, let's go to the chart. You know what I feel? I feel angry. I feel mad. It's slightly sour. That's not a root beer. This isn't a root beer at all. Yeah. Well, it contains 0% juice. Says that on the back, so that's good to know. But I'm trying to look here to figure out what's on the tip of my tongue here, literally this time, because the problem is, well, what I'm not liking, the problem is that's making me really not like this one is that it has just this, like in the back of your mouth, sour note to it. It just doesn't have the same flavor profiles as a actual root beer. Like the primary notes I'm getting instead of like the root beer, a lot of it's vanilla to me. You can taste the vanilla. Some people taste mint. This, it's just sour, and I had to assume that's just the probiotic bacteria in here doing that. But while I'm angry about this, the Poppi more or less, well, not really lying to its target audience, but misleading it. Well, were they in hot water? Were they going, oh, we have to change things? No, they got bought by PepsiCo in April of 2025, so things are going pretty good because that lawsuit was settled in May. And Poppi is still one of the most popular soda alternatives on the market. But while Poppi is still on the market, there are some alternatives. And I think my gut is not healthy enough yet. And I think I need to have another one. So, next up we have Slice Root Beer Healthy Soda. So, already, I'm going to give it some points. I do really enjoy its branding. This looks cool. This looks cool, it looks hip, and it looks modern. I'll say, even though I didn't really care for the branding on the olipop, they do hire very good graphic designers, these probiotic and prebiotic soda. And this soda has both, so that must mean it is double healthy for my gut. Fourth bite. It's the same problems Olipop had. This one, yeah, I'm gonna go with embarrassed. Not because I'm embarrassed I had this. I'm embarrassed for the soda company. You get this cool logo, and then you just, if you had like a LaCroix, that's a very good analog for what this tastes like. Like how a LaCroix is the suggestion of flavor, this is the suggestion of root beer. It tastes much more akin to a soda water than a root beer. Yeah, like all these have had a problem where they're mildly sour, give or take. Of course, as we learned from the Cove was the most sour, but there's always been this sour note behind each one of these sodas. And I have to say, I'm guessing that's the prebiotics that they're making the soda sour. I don't really care for that. Aww. You know, if I want soda, I want it to be unhealthy. But speaking of which, are these sodas unhealthy? Well, not really. I mean, well, I'll say this much. Yes, technically, the amount of these you'd have to drink to have any meaningful prebiotic and probiotic effects to your gut microbiome is a lot. You'd have to drink a lot of these. They're still healthier than your average soda. I mean, this A&W has 270 calories, and while sure it's 20 fluid ounces, and while these are only 12, the Cove only has 5 calories, and The others only have 30. The Cove also doesn't have any sugar, which might also be why I didn't like it. Interesting. But these only have 3 grams of sugar. So while, yes, they don't really benefit your gut biome all too much, they're still healthier than guzzling down A&W every day. We have one more soda left, and it's the name of the video. It's the famous, the well-renowned Poppi. Soda's back. Here's the scoop. You're gonna want to pick up some vanilla ice cream to go with this iconic flavor. Float, anyone? Get that classic soda shop taste with all the modern vibe. Like 5 grams of sugar, ingredients you can love, and prebiotics. Cause the future is now, bestie. I'm already feeling modern and cosmopolitan just by that alone. Well, if it's so modern and cosmopolitan, let's have a taste, shall we? Will they be serving this at the Ritz? We'll find out. What is this? Fit by... Soda's back, but better? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say soda's back, but better. I would say soda's back. No, soda's been here, but mid. Yeah. If I had to rank these, Poppi would be number 1 so far. Well, number 2. The A&W gets number 1 because it's actual root beer. But this one, you can actually get not just hints of root beer, like the problem I had with the slice, but you can actually taste it. However, that same prebiotic funk is there. There's still that slightly bitter, slightly sour aftertaste that comes with it that you can taste in the back of your mouth that I just haven't liked at all. Yeah. All of these have been some amount of sour-ish. I feel sad. I feel sad drinking this. Obviously, you shouldn't use these sodas as your first choice, more or less, to meet your prebiotic or probiotic, more or less just your fiber goals. You shouldn't be using these to do that. You know, there are a lot of fruits, vegetables, grains that have fiber in them that are good for you and taste good too. In reality, what you should be doing is, yeah, you could have a Poppi, an olipop, or even an A&W, just within moderation. You should be having A&W for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in between, just like how you shouldn't be having an olipop. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about sticky soda. So we have our 5 little sodas jumping on the bed. One fell off, and how did that make me feel? Well, starting with the A&W, that made me feel hopeful. I was hopeful drinking this, because I was hoping that I could have more of it. So, that goes first. And Poppi, it tasted, out of the prebiotic sodas, Poppi was the best tasting, in my opinion, but it made me feel sad drinking it, just because of that sour note. So that will go second. Slice can go third. It made me feel sorry drinking it, not because I was sorry to have it, but because I felt sorry for the people who made it, because it tasted like a root beer LaCroix, and it had that hint of sour like all of these have. Then the olipop goes after that, and the olipop, if I'm correct, I feel afraid drinking. They don't really taste like root beer, and it doesn't really taste that good either. Out of these, yeah. And of course, Cove at the bottom, I felt bad drinking it just because of how sour it was. It's very sour, it does not taste like root beer at all, and simply put, I don't like it. But we also learned a thing or two today as well. We learned that probiotic sodas aren't 100% of what they're saying they are. They do have inulin. They are healthier than a regular soda, but you really shouldn't be like relying on these for your gut health or daily fiber intake. Instead, you should be having a varied diet, including seeds, legumes, nuts, fruit, vegetable, and grains. I believe I have helped the king in his quest to figure out if these sodas are actually doing anything for him. To the king, I say, not really. But maybe you should have more, maybe you should have a healthier dinner. That's really all I have left. As per usual, if you enjoyed this video, I think you should subscribe. If you didn't, I don't know. I'll send my, I don't know. Bye!
Let's hit 'em with it. About to get boots illa on these